This is the text-to-speech audio version of The Observer by Philosopher. To read the full article, including analysis of trends we're observing and other content, or to join the conversation, check us out on Substack at darkphilosopher.substack.com or on Twitter at Observer Trends or anywhere podcasts are broadcast. Article title: Quantifying Malevolence. Article subtitle: A politician, a celebrity, an activist, a saint, and a government walk into a bar. In this series I call Evil Prevails, I'd like to explore the various causes and impacts of seemingly innocuous, wholesome, and at times unrelated aspects of society that lead to instances of the greatest evil, or at minimum, have a high propensity to do so. Not every evil result starts with an intention to harm. Unfortunately, many start and are continued under the guise of the ultimate good, or, as we call it, acts of benevolence. Instead of writing endless paragraphs of description and story for today's article, I decided to turn this into a game. Below you will find 6 categories of various positions or elements that, as per the equation, have a high likelihood of leading to malevolence in society. I have taken direct quotes from each entity and rewrote them for emphasis and impact and to disguise their original source. I've also provided both a general background on the entity and an emphasis on its consequences, or results. Each is a known, real-life entity from common, widespread knowledge. It's up to you, dear reader, to guess who or what they are. Answers are provided at the end. Wanna play? For clarity, malevolence means having or exhibiting ill will, wishing causing harm to others, malicious. Benevolence means the quality of being well-meaning, kindness. Influence means the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something or the effect itself. Multilateralism means the principle of participation by 3 or more parties, especially by the governments of different countries. The equation: malevolence equals power times influence plus benevolence. 1. You can have neither power nor influence and be filled with benevolence. This is the politician. 2. You can have great influence but no real power. This is the celebrity. 3. You can have great power, little influence, and great benevolence. This is the activist. 4. You can have little power, great influence, and great benevolence. This is the saint. 5. You can have great power and great influence and act with the utmost benevolence. This is the government. 6. You can have great power and no real influence. This is you, your family, your neighbors, and your children collectively. 1. No power. X. No influence plus great benevolence. The politician. Excerpt: The Republic was founded by politicians, for politicians. It was never intended to be a state of and by the people, but a trough for the rich and famous to feed from. The Republic was never intended to be a free state. The object was to provide a mode for theft and propaganda for exploitation by the rich and powerful. The fruit of the honest worker has been stolen by those who themselves have never worked. And if we refuse to grasp the facts, we will be punished by our enemies. The outside world despises the freedoms of this republic. Background: This person initially had no intentions of becoming a politician but later felt compelled to act. They became very successful in their career. The above excerpt was rewritten to disguise the original author but was well received when it was made public. Consequence: This person is hated and loathed by most, but their current followers cherish them as almost a deity. This figure went on to persecute distinct groups of innocent people, which led to many deaths and trauma. Lessons. Those who feel powerless tend to seek power to compensate, and therefore can become the worst of us ever to achieve it. Who do you think it is? Too little power, great influence plus little benevolence, the celebrity. Excerpt, rewritten for emphasis and critical impact. I was thrilled to work with people who value art and understand how much my life's work means to me. I immediately began to plan how we could work together to expand and protect my music. They don't tone while maximizing the outcomes, profit for all involved. I was disappointed when I learned that under the terms of the acquisition, the property owners would continue to receive many years of future financial rewards from my product. If I support you, the new licensure, I will directly support these future payments. As a result, I cannot entertain being partners with you. It's a shame to know that I will now be unable to help grow the future of these past works, and it pains me very deeply, but this is a sacrifice I will have to make. Please to let me know if your firm is ever completely independent of the previous owners. I feel the need to be very transparent with you. I will be going forward with re-recording my old music properties to regain ownership. I know this will diminish the value of the property you have elected to purchase, but I hope you will understand this is my only way of regaining my sense of pride, while allowing my fans to listen to these products without feelings of guilt for benefiting my old record label. And now you. Background. This is a recording artist of extreme popularity and success. They are weaponizing their fan base for the purpose of destroying the property value of previously recorded music they don't own that has been sold to another company. This public dispute put billions of dollars of value, including pension funds, at risk for the declared pride of the artist. Also of note, there is controversy around this particular deal, with alleged abuse of ownership rights by the previous owner before the sale of this material. This is a known issue of these types of deals. This artist has chosen to re-record, in almost exact detail, their previous music with the direct intended purpose of destroying the original master's value, which was sold to a publicly traded company. Ownership of music has been debated for almost as long as music has been professionally produced. One of the business models record labels uses for return on investment is holding ownership, sometimes indefinitely. This ownership, for most small and medium-sized artists, gives the label a chance to recoup losses and generate revenue for investment in other new artists. In rare circumstances, an artist becomes an international sensation and sets records in sales. The current owner of the masters is disadvantaged against lawsuit or recovery of investment, as the public perception of their action would be damaging reputationally, which is a core element of their business model. Opinion ongoing. Fascinating case and a great example for analysis. This dispute, once public, name-dropped a variety of firms and institutions, caused untold levels of reputational damage, and has even resulted in a produced song intended to attack the original owner as being a propagator of misogyny. Consequences. The impacts of this particular public dispute could put future investments into new musical or acting talent into disrepute, while also extending a massive liability towards anyone who currently owns copyrighted material. The calls for rebellion against corporations and investors of copyrighted materials could result in less investment, further destruction of copyrighted property and other disputes, and potentially the loss of billions worth of accumulated sales and existing property ownership. whereas this could also lead to further legal protections from copyright holders moving forward, to the disadvantage of new or existing talent. Unknown result. Statute of limitations expiry = 3 years from discovery. But U.S. federal courts have upheld tolling in some cases. If plaintiff argues the uniqueness of the case, reputational damage, etc., and files criminal charges, a possible extension of statute until 3 years or longer after the final of 6 albums published, may seek remuneration of all album and tour sales owed, plus damages with final release date and end of expiry around the year 2031 hypothetically. Unknown result of federal decision if case accepted for trial. Lesson. The pursuit of pride and legacy, their words, and destruction of property through the militarization of a fan base, regardless of intentions, can lead to unintended malevolence where this becomes a form of power, and significant damage to industries and investment, entirely because of a personal professional dispute. What do you think? 3. Great power, x little influence plus great benevolence. The activist. Excerpt of multiple quotes combined. When I become depressed, I remember that truth and love have always won throughout history. There have been many tyrants and murderers who seem invincible, but they always fall. Therefore, freedom is not worth having if it doesn't include the freedom to make mistakes. I believe, therefore, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in service to others. Here is where a man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. So remember, it is unwise to be too sure of one's own wisdom. It is healthy to be reminded that the strongest might weaken, and the wisest might err. Background. This is a very popular spiritual man who draws crowds of thousands to hear him speak. He's a popular public speaker and is often thanked for his contributions to society. Consequence. This is a known child groomer who, as often as possible when not imprisoned for various crimes, would surround himself with young girls and his own nieces every night and pray to God for the strength not to abuse them. He often failed. Lessons. Great power and benevolence for others can corrupt a crowd and one's mind. Sometimes people say powerful things as a form of retribution for crimes committed, or those they plan to commit again. Who do you think it is? 4. Little power, x great influence plus great benevolence. The saint. Excerpt of multiple quotes combined. I am not sure exactly what heaven will be like, but I know when we die, and God passes his judgment, he will not ask how many good things have you done in your life. Rather, he will ask, how much love did you put into what you did? Therefore, let no one ever come to you without leaving you better and happier. Be the living expression of God's kindness. Kindness in your face, kindness in your eyes, kindness in your smile. In the end, we will be judged by our actions. You gave food to those who were hungry, you clothed the naked, gave shelter to the homeless, and helped all those in need. Background. This person is a canonical saint by the Catholic Church, started renowned charities to help the poor in their vision, spent their life in service to God, shook hands with the most powerful politicians, and traveled the world. Consequence. This person was a sadist who believed the only way to God and heaven was through the greatest suffering possible without medical intervention or help. They are often criticized for the abject squalor and horrendous conditions they allowed their victims to suffer while this person traveled the world in private jets. Most of her victims spent their final dying days and months laying on cold floors without blankets, doctors, or painkillers, which led to this person achieving so much world renown and fame. This person defended convicted child abusers. They were also quoted as saying they don't act for the benefit of the poor but for the benefit of the Catholic Church. Lessons. One doesn't need great power to achieve great things. Sometimes, all you need is to preach benevolence for the weakest and poorest of society and watch your influence grow. Who do you think it is? Can you forgive them? 5 great power, X great influence plus highest benevolence. The government. Excerpt of quotes about this government. This government should ensure peace by eliminating causes of dissension, by deciding controversies, and by uniting the potential force of all the world as a standing menace against any nation that seeks to upset the peace of the world. This government is the preeminent institution of multilateralism. It provides a forum where sovereign states can come together to share burdens, address common problems, and seize common opportunities. This government helps establish the norms that many countries would like everyone to live by. This government has become a largely irrelevant, if not a positively destructive institution, and the just-released reports on the recent atrocities prove the point. Background. This government has existed for generations and has grown steadily in power and influence around the world throughout that time. This organization has its own armed military, court, banking, and financing, along with these other departments. Department of Defense and Security, Department of Justice, Department of Food and Agriculture, Department of Civil Aviation, Department of Labor, Department of Maritime and Oceans, Department of Treasury, Department of Money Issuance (SDR), Department of Telecommunications, Department of Education, Science and Culture, Department of Industrial Development, Department of Tourism, Department of Postal Union, Banking, Department of Health and Services, Department of Intellectual Property, Department of Meteorological Organization, Department of Trade, Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Humanitarian Aid Programs, Department of HIV/AIDS and Pandemic Programs, Department of Native and Indigenous Affairs, Department of Forests, Department of Statistics, Department on Sustainable Development, plus 5,600 other directly funded organizations, agencies, commissions, groups, legions, alliances, councils, corporations, etc. Consequence. This government's precursor is directly responsible for the conditions leading to the rise of the Third Reich and Hitler's Germany. This government has alienated almost every government on the planet at least once. It has created a treaty, pact, or resolution with almost every dictator, tyrant, and mass murderer in recent history. It has been accused of being both anti-Semitic and anti-Palestine simultaneously. It has become both the greatest friend and foe of Aboriginal nations under its purview. Lessons. This government is capable of both the greatest good and the greatest evils simultaneously. This government is so powerful as to be the literal dream and vision of every madman, dictator, despot, and tyrant in all of human history, collectively. Hitler, Alexander the Great, and Attila the Hun's dreams, fully realized. What entity do you think it is? As you will read below, only one person on this list can be classified as inherently evil or having malevolence. Sometimes the biggest causes of ills in society are done through innocuous or seemingly benign reasons and causes. It is also well within even the evilest of intentions or actions to inspire good in others, as you've read above. In the end, we are all human, which is both our most endearing and equally our most fearsome quality. Anyone who is capable of good is equally capable of acts of evil. Those among us capable of the greatest good are, therefore, capable of the greatest of evils. Lest we ever forget this lesson, we can rest assured we will be starkly reminded. Answers are: the politician, Adolf Hitler; the celebrity, Taylor Allison Swift; the activist, Mahatma Gandhi; the saint, Mother Teresa of Calcutta; the government, United Nations. Signed, Dark Philosopher. For more content, including our trends analysis, see our Substack at darkphilosopher.substack.com or join the conversation on Twitter at Observer Trends. Be sure to join the community so you don't miss out on future articles. Thank you for listening, and good luck.